to Jackson Snyder Presents. A production of New Earth Restoration Ministries. A Hebrew Nation Radio original. Cut!
Hello again, my friends. I'm your host for this evening, Bogdan G. Shlumkov, editor. And tonight I have included some of my personal commentary on the issue at hand. Of course, I believe that you'll find that not only relevant, but very interesting. No?
Today we've got, again, and perhaps the last time for a while, because I don't know if he's got anything left to say. He's been on a lot of times, so we've enjoyed it. Joseph Dumond, prophet extraordinaire, and we're really glad to have you. You're a really great guy, and even though you're completely... we still love you.
I'm glad to hear that.
Okay. Now, here's my question. Please, if you have questions today, just bring them forward. You said the 2300 days started in June? Started June?
That's in Shavuot.
Shavuot.
I believe the day
that's
after
in
Shavuot.
May. I think that's in May. What calendar?
The crescent moon barley calendar.
The moon calendar. Okay. Why? If it's going to be such a dark day and it's going to be really hell.
Well, hang on. No, let's understand what it's going to be. It's going to be the start. It doesn't mean that everything's going to happen on that day, and then after that is recovery after that. It means it's going to be a start. It's like the shot that was heard around the world.
Yeah, I
the American
see.
Revolution. So that started on a bridge in Boston.
Is that like 7 years or 8 years?
No, it's 2300 days. That's 6.25 years.
6. Well, I was pretty close when I said 7.
No, but 7 normally denotes a 3.5-year Book of Revelation chronology.
Yeah, if you believe that. I'm trying to be harsh today. Now everybody's going to end up hating me here, and they're going to see me again. I got a lot of hate mail lately because of my opinions about Revelation, but that's all right. We can be friends no matter what we believe. We can be friends. That's
Everyone is welcome to their
in diversity. What?
Everyone is welcome to their opinion. Everyone is allowed to be wrong.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly right. Because when it comes right down to it, nobody's really right anyway. Yes, except you. So
I'm glad you said that.
If this is the beginning of hell, what is it going to be comparable to real hell, like, say, 1939 to 45 or 1914 to 18 or something like that? Or are we going to see stuff that's not so man-made, but signs and wonders or prodigies coming out of the sky like big red rubber dragons?
It's not the last part. It certainly is the first part. I tell people that Judah has had their Holocaust, but Ephraim has not. So Ephraim is about to go into what I believe is their Holocaust. And it is Israel, the 10 northern tribes that are about to be punished. Now, in that Israel statement is also included Judah, and that is the state of Israel. But the 12 northern tribes, or the 10 northern tribes, sorry, are about to be, judged.
Well, who are they? You're talking about Israel in a dispersion, and how do we know who that is?
Well, in the book that I sent you, the 2300 Days of Hell, the first 4 chapters walk you through, step by step, where Israel went. Some of them went through the Red Sea crossing and followed Moses. Others left before that and went up to Greece and Crete and Troy. And from there, they dispersed out. And
is that why?
Trace them. And
is that why?
I trace them.
Okay. All Cretans are liars?
Yeah, they've heard that too.
Okay, I was talking to somebody about the tribe of Dan. You know, all these places in Russia and Europe have some kind of Dan or Don or Dina. The rivers, towns, countries. Do you think
Dan, when he was migrating, left a trail of his name everywhere he went.
Is that like why his father said Dan is a snake or a serpent? Because he winds around, you know, there's these rivers. The river Don, the river Dnieper, and I know there are more.
Yeah, Dan was part of the exploring group. He was one of the first groups to leave and go exploring. And I believe Dan is one of the tribes that you don't see mentioned in the captivity of Israel.
That's right. It's not in Revelation either. It's left out. You know why?
Yeah, I think I do, but what's your reason?
Well, because in the Sibylline Oracles, which was very, very important for early Christians and Romans too, the Emperor Nero, it was 666. He was said to be from the tribe of Dan. You know, Revelation, it has a lot to do with the Jewish war. And that's Nero came down to Israel through his generals and tore that place up. So Nero is considered from the tribe of Dan, and that's the reason that the Sibylline oracles say that he's left out of any inheritance. I'm not sure of that.
That's interesting, but the book of Revelation was written in 96 AD, and the Nero came down in 56.
No, 71.
So, like, even 71, if you're right, and I don't think you are, but even if you use 71, it's still 20 years after 56 when Nero lived. So it's hard to justify that.
Nero lived until 68. He lived till 68. But look, this is your show.
No, it's your show.
I'm coming on too strong.
You said you had stuff today that you were going to throw at me to upset the apple cart. So I'm waiting to see the apple fly.
You tried to put something.
Make apple juice.
You tried to put something past me here, saying Nero in 54. You know that isn't true.
56.
No,
I know it's true.
68.
I've got documents to prove it.
Go look it up.
I don't know the year he died.
Oh, I'm really getting ticked, Joe.
So what is it you're going to show me here about the 2300 days?
Nothing. I just wanted that question answered because there's been real hell during certain periods that some think that were prophesied in the Bible, and I can't think of a worse time for Jews, if those were Jews in the first place, than the Second World War. That's incredible what happened there. Are you a Holocaust denier?
No.
I'm wondering why the speaker view isn't coming up. I can't get you just on here by yourself.
That's okay. I'm looking at you.
All right, you believe the Holocaust.
Yes,
okay.
Sir.
What I wanted to do today is to see if anybody had questions. You put a significant amount of information out every time you've been here. And it's mind-boggling how much information you have, even though it is a pretty narrow focus. But I guess that's what it has to be. And you turned out to be a really good rolling with the punches and everything. That's good.
Hey, I work in construction. You know, like I was preaching to the guys yesterday. They ask a question, I tell them in a language that they can understand. And I don't hold my punch. If you don't like it, grow up. Then if you can't love the brethren, then you're not part of the brethren. You're not part of the family of Jehovah. So either you grow up and learn to talk and discuss things reasonably, or you don't. And I appreciate you having the tenacity to let me come on here and speak freely. So I appreciate that.
I'm just wondering if you can help me a little bit on another subject. I've been getting a lot of real nasty email lately, personal insults. Do you think I'm that bad of a guy? I mean,
I don't know. You have not attacked me or insulted me.
Have I been a real...
I get those emails all the time.
Do you really?
Generally, they come from people. Yeah, you got to get a tough skin because it still hurts. Everyone hurts.
Oh yeah.
But those people do not have a love for the brethren. And it says in John, in 1 John, that's how you'll know that we are part of the family of Jehovah.
Wow,
the love
that's
that we
true.
show for one another. Whether or not we agree doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't say you have to agree. My pinky doesn't understand what the purpose of my baby toe is. But you cut off the baby toe and you can't walk straight.
I've had so many people say that unity and diversity thing, just give that up and you'll be fine, start being a little more exclusive. But I think that you got it there, the love of the brethren. Why can't we think and believe differently on subjects that might be a little questionable until they're proven, and love each other and enjoy each other's company? I don't know.
Well,
why?
You said the answer right there, because people are exclusive. They have put themselves in their own little box and says, only the people who think like me are allowed in my box. Therefore, we'll have a happy box because we're all thinking the same thing. Trouble is, you've stopped growing. You've stopped loving the brethren, and you only love yourself. In fact, you asked me to come on your show. You heard about it somehow. You asked me to come on, and why would I come on here?
I don't know, but I'll be honest with you. People wrote to me and said, don't have him on.
I know.
He's a mess.
Because they don't because I contradict what they believe. I point out their fallacies, and they do not like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I really don't care if you like me or not. That's not my purpose here. My purpose is to teach what I've been shown in the Torah. And if you don't like it, then grow up.
Do you think that maybe their objections come from lack of study or lack of anointing, or
it's a lack of study for sure? Because a lot of people learn a couple words in Hebrew and think they're Hebrew scholars, and those are the most dangerous kind because they don't know anything. Yet they profess to be authorities at everything. So again, Jackson, why am I here? The answer is in Leviticus 19. I had to remind myself of that today. When you said, okay, I'm going to throw a real curve at you today, I said, great. Why am I here? So, but listen, Leviticus 19 says, if you see your brother sinning and you don't do anything about it, you are guilty of murder. Then Yeshua speaks up on that same Leviticus 19 and says something about murdering your brother. And he's talking about not telling your brother when you see him sinning. So I see a lot of people here on your following the books of Enoch and following the books of Jubilee and following these other book,
Yeah.
and they've made them into their gospel. That is
Oh,
the grounding.
Absolutely.
That is the grounding. That is their God. And, the Enoch calendar and the Jubilee calendar and all these different things that not just the people here, but others have done else. Now, I've addressed each and every one of these points throughout how long have I been doing this? Since 2005. I've walking this walk since 1982. Over that period of time, I've addressed all these things. And, I see people coming up to me and they want to fight with me about the lunar Sabbath or the month is supposed to be 30 days long and the calendar issue. I've addressed every single one. And I didn't address it to prove myself right. I addressed it to find the truth. That's the only thing I wanted was the truth. And I don't care which side I came out on. So that's what I've done.
Okay.
I've done this throughout all these things. So when people are stuck on the Enochian calendar, or people are stuck on the lunar Sabbath life, I know that they've graduated from kindergarten to grade 1 or 2, and they've not graduated beyond that point. They're stuck there. They've not moved up into a university level or a master's degree level of understanding the Torah. And I'm not claiming to be the all-knowing prophet. You called me the prophet of doom here last week on your introduction. If I'm a prophet, I'm a prophet of hope. The people that are in doom are those who are stuck in where they are, who don't love the brethren, who accuse the brethren, who do the work of Satan. So,
okay. I got two things to say. I want to say something to Elaine, first of all. I play the dope here, okay? I play the dope. That's my job. I do 5 of these a week. I play the dope so somebody else can think that, something's wrong, he's stupid. I do that for a purpose, and that is to bring out some of the things from the guests to see if they'll, come forth with more stuff. That's part of the shtick, you see. That's the shtick. But my opinion is different because I've studied it in a different direction than Joe has. And I understood him to be a prophet of doom, but I noticed from your emails that you're telling people how to avoid being judged, how to avoid the calamities.
How to avoid the calamity, not avoid being judged.
Well, nobody can avoid that.
We're all being judged by everything we do and by everything that we don't do.
Now, the second thing I wanted to say, and then I'll shut up. I've written and published 12 books. I have several that are unpublished. Most of what I do is translating ancient documents that have to do with the Nazarene movement that have been destroyed or lost or tucked away in the Catholic Church and destroyed, or they come to the surface, they need to be published. So I retranslate and publish them. Some people have gotten hold of these books. Enoch is one that I've done, and the Clementines and Nazarene Acts is the second. They'll get a hold of those books and they'll make an entire doctrine out of that as though that was the holy sacred scripture itself. That's especially true of the Nazarene Acts. Sometimes I think I shouldn't have even done that because a few are using that to take people out of the way. They'll pick something out of there that's obscure, they'll make a doctrine out of it, and they will start pulling people away. I could name some people, but I won't.
So glad to hear you say that because I've seen the exact same thing. I see people who are bullied and then convert to the Jewish mindset or become Jewish, and they stop believing in Paul, and then they become anti-Paulicians, and then they stop believing in the New Testament, and then they stop believing in the Bible altogether, and then they fall into
Messiah.
Well, not even Messiah.
They don't.
Or Judaism, which is Judaism as a religion and not as a following of Jehovah, if you know what I mean. They changed the name from Joseph to Yasaf.
I know exactly what you mean, yes.
But they do not have the love for the brethren. So these other books, they're interesting in the side, and I got a quote for you. I got to find it now.
Okay.
I want people to go to, what is it? Second Thessalonians 2:11. 2 Thessalonians 2:11. Come on, now it's not.
2 Thessalonians 2:11. Okay, I got it.
Okay, so I'm going to start in verse 8. And then the lawless one will be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the breath of his mouth and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. So it's talking about the time of the end. Whose coming is according to the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders, and with all deceit and unrighteousness in those who perish because they did not receive the love of the truth so that they might be saved. What is the love of the truth? That's the great question. What is the love of the truth? And for this cause, God, Jehovah, shall send them strong delusion that they should believe a lie. What this is saying, the way I understand this to be saying is because you did not love my Torah, I'm going to send you all these other things so that you get distracted and you believe everything else except what is in my Torah. It's also called mixing the seed. Okay, you're not to mix two different garments, not to mix two different seeds in the same field. You've mixed the Torah with, these books that were written between 175, 200 BC and 200 AD, which were fictitious books that have become...
no, not all of them. Not all of them. But some are very extremely Torah-centric. Yeah, I don't think that we're on the same wavelength on that. But I talk about this strong delusion. Who wrote the Second Thessalonians?
Well, I'm going to about Paul.
That must be a prophetic word from Paul, because if anybody ever watered the Torah down, it was him. He had to leave Torah behind if he was going to go to Europe, because several of those Torah commandments were against the law up there. And if he didn't leave it behind,
down the Torah, Paul was one of the most brilliant men about the Torah. And the reason that people don't understand it, the same as what Peter says, Paul's understandings are hard to grasp for those who don't keep Torah. But those who keep Torah, Paul's understandings are not that hard. I don't find nothing wrong with Paul.
I think they're easy to understand, but Galatians is too easy to understand if anybody will read it.
Instead of cherry picking, yes.
Instead of cherry picking it out, definitely. Thank you. That was good.
Yeah. You can cherry pick the whole Bible and make up your own doctrine.
Mm-hmm. Then you'd be
yeah, or something.
What do you think of the Christian church? What's your opinion? Is it useful? Is it like elementary school or what? Tell me about that.
It's kindergarten.
Don't forget, I'm playing the dummy here, all right?
It's kindergarten class. It's where we all start, is where we learn that there's a Bible, there's a God, and there's a Jesus. It's a great place to start. But if that's all you do is go to church and then your salvation is based on the number of times you sit in the pew, then you are totally missing the point. You got to read the Bible. And most Christians have never read it.
No, they haven't.
They only memorize what they've been told at the pulpit. And I was one of them.
Well, I had 25 years in the pulpit in the Methodist church, and I'll tell you, that was one of the biggest disappointments I had. There were people that were very, very interested and came to the classes that were given, but most of them, get your fire insurance, go home and do what you want. It was a hobby.
Yeah, it was a social club. And if you're, what are we told to do? What are we told to do? And it's the same thing I told, some of the people in our groups today. What are we told to do? We're told to go out and preach the gospel to the world, to the whole world. Okay, so how do you do that? Well, you do it whatever way you can. Yes, we come to groups like this or yours, and we learn our truth. We refine our teaching understandings, but we go out and teach those Christians who are still in kindergarten, who are still going Sunday school and thinking that they're being holy. They don't know they're asleep. They don't know they're dead, but we have to go and tell them. But most people don't do that, and that's what Israel failed to do, was to teach the world. Israel was to teach the world the Torah. They never did.
Yeah.
Now the world is about to be punished at the end of this age for not keeping Torah. Whether or not they knew it or not, doesn't matter. The laws don't change.
Well, Judah is saying these days that Ephraim, all you need to do is go by the law of Noah, and there is no law of Noah. It's the biggest trap I've ever seen.
You're right. I agree with you.
And these people that say, you're a Gentile, you're not supposed to keep the Sabbath, you keep the Noahide laws. Right. And I say, where are the Noahide laws? And I don't know. Yeah. Somebody told them that.
It's another fallacy. And most people, we come out of Christianity and we believe everything that's Jewish because the Jews have the Torah and the Jews were given the oracles. Therefore, we do what they say and we believe what they tell us because they're Jewish. But it's only after that, and I went through that stage, it's only after that when you actually crack open your Bible and you start to read it, and you got notes on it, you got pages falling out, you got stuff in here, like all your little notes. I should throw this away, but I can't. It's got so many little notes in it.
That's the thing.
And once you've read it, you find out that the stuff Judah's teaching isn't the truth. Yes, they kept the Torah, but they've changed it. They've changed the holy days. They've moved the holy days. They've disbanded the Jubilee year, and they've moved the sabbatical year. I even have Rambam, which I just only found out last year, 2018. Rambam tells people that the sabbatical year is the same one that I'm teaching, but we, out of tradition, keep it a year and a half before. Rambam.
That's blatant.
Yeah.
It is. I'm sorry to be so, so
my
down to earth.
So, there are people here with family and children. So
it just blows me away. I know, bullcrap. It just blows me away how they can so easily, it's really here, but we're going to do it over here. That's idolatry, isn't it?
Well, we also do it with the Hebrew calendar. We have postponement rules. Postponement rules move the holy days 1, 2, and 3 days.
Not in our calendar.
Yeah. Well, what calendar you use?
We use the temple calendar.
Which is what?
The old temple calendar. In 170 BC, the temple was taken over by a foreign power, and the true Zadokite priesthood was all kicked out of there, exiled, killed, and murdered. And a new foreign faction came in and put the Persian calendar in, while the Pharisees kept the... And that's how they got to moon calendar from that very thing. It was solar calendar up to 170 BC. But when they kicked out the Zadokite priesthood, as prophesied in Ezekiel 40 through 44, and they took over the priesthood, they changed the calendar so they could have the same market days as Persia and Greece. So those high priests and the priestly types that were making so much money, they could continue to make that money instead of kicking against the pricks of the old priesthood that kept the old temple calendar.
So you're saying that the crescent moon calendar is part of that system?
Yes, I am.
Indeed.
I know everybody's mad at me now, but
no, don't
that's from our studies. A lot of people.
A good midrash is a down and out Donnybrook, but you still love each other when you get up and leave.
Well, that's
and I
nice.
told you that before.
Donnybrook?
You know what a Donnybrook
Is that
is?
like a little Lord Fauntleroy got beaten up there or something?
I don't know who that is.
Somebody.
It's a down and out brawl.
It's what?
A down and out brawl.
Yeah, so it's like a place where there was a war.
It's a knock 'em down fight. No, it's not a war.
Okay.
It's just a battle between two people. And all we're doing is exchanging words and sharpening our swords on each other. So the calendar, we have evidence of the calendar, the solar, lunar, the lunar with the barley, going all the way back to the beginning of time. Now, I believe that. My evidence is in the, but you're following the.
Oh, I'm telling you, you need to go back on history because the mystery is history.
I have gone back
about that.
Back to the beginning of time.
Maybe Elohim wanted the calendar to change to the market calendar of Persia and Greece.
What is the test of Jehovah?
In the time of Yeshua, there were 4 calendars. He kept a solar calendar. Sadducees kept the lunar calendar. The Pharisees kept a calendar similar to you. And there is now this Hillel 2 calendar. They're all different. And the one that was fashioned by Yahweh is the one spoken of in Ezekiel 40 through 44. And I might be stumbling around here, but I know what I'm talking about. You need to go back to that history, Joe, and look it up yourself. Now, look,
I've done history research, and I strongly disagree.
Okay, you don't know anything about that. How can you have done a history if you don't know about that?
I do know about it.
You know about the Zadokites and the temple change and the change in calendar?
Hang on, let me get you something here.
Okay.
Let me just get you something here. I took a group of people to the Book of the Scroll in Jerusalem. That's the Dead Sea Scrolls. And the Dead Sea Scrolls were written 175 BC, and this is where you're getting your information from. Am I right?
No.
No?
There's some information coming through from there, but the Book of Enoch and the Book of Jubilees, for instance, they go way back.
Sorry.
Way beyond 175.
No, they don't. They were written between 175, the book's Jubilees 175, and the
manuscripts.
200 AD.
The manuscripts are dated to 175, not the text of the manuscript. Then we could say that the Old Testament, the Torah, is only dated to most of it to 200 BC.
Here's what it says at the entrance to the Book of the Scroll. The very first display, talking about the Dead Sea Scrolls and talking about the Essenes, who are the group that left Jerusalem because of this John Hyrcanus, who was a high priest at that time, who took down the temple, destroyed the temple, which is what the Essenes were all upset about.
He called the Romans in.
He didn't call the Romans in. He did that himself. He took it down himself. Here's what it says. The Qumran sectarians believed that God had granted them the knowledge of profound secrets, including knowledge of the true calendar and the exact time of the festival. In their strict obedience to this calendar was primary religious duty. The sectarian calendar, based on the heavenly course of the sun, consists of 364 days.
That's right.
Times were divided into 12 months, each comprising of 30 days except the 3rd, 6th, 9th, and 12th month.
Yep.
Which had 31 days. Festivals always fell on the same day of the week.
Always.
On Wednesday.
It's a perfect calendar.
Sunday. Yom Kippur on Friday. I know what you're talking about. The origins of the calendar lay in the ancient Jewish traditions mentioned in the books of Jubilee and the Book of Enoch. The scholars believed it was used. It was even used in the land of Israel during the First Temple period. In contrast to the Judean desert sectarians, the priestly establishment in Jerusalem followed the lunar solar calendar that had been adopted by Antiochus Epiphanes in 167 BC.
You're telling me exactly what I want to hear.
I know.
You're just negating what you said about the moon calendar.
It can't be both ways on that.
I've lost you. So I'm starting to look there. Yeah.
Thank.
You'll have to excuse me for interjecting a little commentary here, but seems to me this reading from the place that houses the scrolls paints Joe right into a corner. Because he read this and he got to reconcile himself to the fact that even the great scholars of the scroll will say that the calendar found in Enoch, Jubilees, and in the MMT are in fact the temple calendar. And that moon calendars came in later with the usurpers, and that those moon calendars were foreign calendars. Maybe I need to play that again, because everything in this forum depends upon what a calendar is correct. Do you see that? Let's hear it again.
Here's what it says. The Qumran sectarians believed that God had granted them the knowledge of profound secrets, including knowledge of the true calendar and the exact time of the festival. In their strict obedience to this calendar was primary religious duty. The sectarian calendar, based on the heavenly course of the sun, consists of 364 days.
That's right.
Times were divided into 12 months, each comprising of 30 days except the 3rd, 6th, 9th, and 12th month.
Yep.
Which had 31 days. Festivals always fell on the same day of the week.
Always.
On Wednesday,
it's a perfect calendar.
Sunday, Yom Kippur on Friday. I know what you're talking about. The origins of the calendar lay in the ancient Jewish traditions mentioned in the books of Jubilee and the book of Enoch. The scholars believed it was used. It was even used in the land of Israel during the First Temple period. In contrast to the Judean desert sectarians, the priestly establishment in Jerusalem followed the lunar solar calendar that had been adopted by Antiochus Epiphanes in 167 BC.
Again, my friend is saying there that the calendar used by the Jews, yet even today, is the Persian calendar. And that the calendar that Joe is using comes directly from Persia and not from the temple. I hope you got that, because if we are to imitate the very first believers, they remained on that solar calendar, and many of us today, including almost all scholars, say it was the original temple calendar. Now, what does this have to do with you? It has this to do with you. This is an important discovery. The Essenes kept the original calendar all along, even when the foreign element came in, bringing with them the Persian market calendar. And that if you are interested in the original temple calendar, I will be happy to send you one along with complete annotation for the asking, free of charge. All you have to do is tell me where to send it. And you can contact me for that at www.yahad.me. Just put in the comment field the true calendar or the old temple calendar if you're not keeping it now. And don't forget to put your email in there so I can send it right to you. What we send is completely annotated, easy to read, deluxe. So again, you want a calendar, I will email the entire thing to you if you just contact me, Brother Shumkoff, at www.yahad.me. And I'm sorry for the interruption, but I just could not keep silent.
Telling me exactly what I want to hear.
I know.
You're just negating what you said about the moon calendar.
It can't be both ways on that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Hey, we got to give you a hard time this time. Joe knows what he's in for here.
Yeah, and I'm up for it because you guys don't know. Basically, you guys don't know what you're talking about.
You cannot agree with someone. That's okay. All you have to do is insult them. That will take care of it.
These are things that were written in 167 to 200 AD. They were fictitious books.
No,
they were fictitious books.
That's when.
But that's the same thing that Rabbinic Judaism did. Rabbinic Judaism essentially took out those books because they didn't want us to see those books.
Number one.
They took them out because they were full of crap. You know what a Geniza is?
Of course.
What is a Geniza then?
It's a place where they put old manuscripts that are worn out. The Cairo Geniza, for instance. Trash.
Well,
old Torah scrolls, old bills.
Why did they put them in there?
Because they're worn out.
Okay, but why didn't they just burn them and throw them in the garbage?
They don't do that. They put them in Genizas.
Why?
And because the name, Yahweh's sacred name, was on those parchments, so they didn't want to burn the name, so they put them in that Geniza.
Exactly, you're right, Daniel. You're right.
At one time, they cut them out and put them away, but that's too much work, so they just set up these Genizas to
Any
do that.
book that had Jehovah's name in it was put in a Geniza. It was put in an earthen jar and put in the spot at the front of a synagogue. So you got to understand what a Geniza's purpose is to understand where these books are. These books got God's name in it. These books are heretical books. They can't burn them. They're heretic books. They can't burn them. They can't throw them in the
But who determined that they were heretical?
Books?
But who determined that? So basically, what are you telling me? The illegal high priest, the illegal religious Jewish system.
Illegal. You're the one saying they're illegal.
Yes, I am.
Yes, they are illegal.
Absolutely. They were illegal.
So
Remember what I told you.
After the fact, some guy comes along and says they're illegal.
No, they've been illegal. Look, they were illegal shortly before Babylon. The priesthood was illegal. That's why it was removed and fired. They were still on the job, but they were fired.
The Assyrians wrote the book of the Dead Sea Scrolls in 167 BC because John Hyrcanus, the Maccabees.
No, that's absolutely false.
The Maccabees were tearing down
absolutely false
in 167 because of the
Maccabees were the problem.
That's false. Entirely
the Maccabees were the
false.
problem.
Any history book, Josephus will tell you about this. The imposters were the guys that brought the moon calendars in. Those are the imposters that were there until the end of the temple in 70 AD.
So give me the scripture where Josephus says that, right? Tell it to me.
Oh, I don't have it. I'm working on the Slavonic Josephus right now, as you know, but I don't have it in my head exactly where it is. But
well, that's a pretty outrageous statement to make without backing it up.
It's in the Antiquities, and go to the Jewish dictionary, look under calendar and see. That's where I first learned about it.
Well, the Jewish calendar dictionary is written in the 20th century. Give me one from the year 2000 or 200 AD.
What's that now?
The Jewish calendar dictionary that you're using now is written today. It's saying the Hillel calendar is the proper one, and the crescent moon calendar is not in effect. So
but everybody knows that the Hillel calendar is wrong. Even the Jewish leadership will tell you that the Hillel 2 calendar is wrong. It's an exile calendar. It's not the correct calendar.
And what do the postponement rules say about that calendar? Have you read the postponement rules?
Yes, I think I do remember the postponement rules.
What is the purpose of the postponement rules?
To keep certain Moedim from falling on a Shabbat. And I think that there's another one. I just don't remember what it is, but that's what they use those things for.
The postponement rules, as you say, that was one, but they were written so that the moon would not be sighted in another part of the world before it was sighted in Israel. That is the purpose of the postponement rule. And if that's the purpose of postponement rules, which only came into effect in the 12th century when Rambam instituted it.
That's a moot point. Well, why are we talking about that?
That tells you right there that the calendar that they're using is wrong. Because
I'm agreeing with you about the Hillel calendar, but I'm telling you that the crescent moon calendar was the one that had always been there.
No, it hasn't.
The Enochian one.
That's the Persian calendar.
No, it's not the Persian calendar.
Have you ever taken a look, Joe, at what a crescent looks like? You know that's the symbol of Islam, correct?
Where do you think Islam got it from?
Exactly. They got it from those nations.
Well,
they got it from Abraham.
Islam's on this side. Israel's on this side. They're on different crescents. Islam is the left crescent and Israel is the right crescent. Yeah.
Elementary, my dear doctor.
Hey, we love you, brother. We love you. I know that all these folk now are going to get mad at me and say, oh, he came against our idol. You will be idolizing him if you do that.
We love you. We love you anyhow.
Jackson, stop right there. None of these people idolize me. Not one.
They're going to drag you away. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No, listen,
I have a persecution complex.
You're saying, you're making outrageous statements here. I'm not going to let you get away with stuff like that. These people are independent. They have proven everything that I've said, or they're in the process of proving it. To them, I'm just the guy that showed it. I'm not more than that.
Let them listen to what I have to show them for a couple of weeks, and perhaps, they will they say no, but see, when you say no, you're speaking out of ignorance, because you don't know. You haven't done the research on it that we have. You've only done
the research on the calendar that I have.
Yes, I have. I've done enough research to know it's false.
You keep in the Jubilee year?
Yes. When
did you keep the Jubilee year?
I've never kept it, because I
Well,
never
you just
know
don't-
what it was. No, I
You
didn't
kept a
mean
sabbatical
that.
year.
I said I studied it from
And
the
you kept a
past.
sabbatical year.
I'm not a farmer. I don't know what
Here's
to
the
do.
problem with
You
here's
eat
the problem
food,
with
so
all
you must keep the sabbatical year.
I don't
Here's
know
the-
what to do. Tell
here's
me
the
what to
problem.
do.
Here's
Because
the
you
issue with
don't
all of
keep
this.
it, because you don't keep it, you're breaking the law.
Okay,
You're
no, wait.
sitting.
You tell me what to do. I am not an agrarian. I'm not a farmer. I don't keep sheep. I don't raise corn. What do I do? And I'm serious here. I want to know.
You put
Especially
food
if
in
you
your
live in
mouth
the
every
city.
day, right?
Huh?
You put food in your mouth 3 times a day.
Well, one time a day I do. I have
Okay.
to, or I wouldn't do it at all.
So where'd you get the food from?
Okay, well, what am I supposed to do? The rule has to do with farmers.
No, it has to do with you.
Well, what do I have to do? Just tell me
You're
that.
supposed, first of all, you're supposed to forgive debt.
What?
Forgive debt.
Yeah,
As things do, that is a matter of course.
we
Joe.
do that. Anything that's mine is yours. Ask for it, I'll send it to you. That's what we do.
Then when you are buying food that is grown during the sabbatical year, are you encouraging other people to break the sabbatical year?
But
Well,
you have to be able
when-
to know that, though. If you don't know that, what are
Yeah.
you saying?
When
So you
is
have
it?
to
Hey, Daniel, I didn't know the speed limit was 60 miles an hour, and I'm doing 120 down this highway.
Well, then,
Yeah,
but,
brother.
but that's different, though,
No,
because
it's
you.
not different.
It is very
Ignorance
much
of the
so
law-
different. So
ignorance
what are
of
you
the law
talking
does not
about?
excuse
There's
you
signs
from the
all
law.
over the place that tell you that the speed limit is 55, 50, 60, or even 25 in certain areas. I mean, there's signs all over the place.
Daniel, there's
How was
signs
that
all over
not
the place
different?
that the sabbatical years are when they are. I'm not that smart,
Explain.
and I've been able to figure it out. If I can figure it out, and these people that are learning this stuff with me are figuring it out, then anyone can figure it out. For you
Well,
not
tell
to
us.
figure it out is to say that I'm too stupid to figure this out.
No,
But
that's
you're
not what I'm saying.
If you ever paint yourself into corner, all you have to do is put out a barrage of noise, and then you may walk right out on it.
You just met me yesterday. You don't know that. But what
I'm guilty.
here's the point that I'm making.
Answer my question first.
I did. I already answered it to.
So you know when the next sabbatical year is.
No, I don't know what the next one is.
Well, then how?
I
can
know
you
it's on
say
Yom
it?
Kippur.
No, it's
I know
not.
it's on Yom Kippur when it's proclaimed. My point is this. Okay, why, if the sabbatical year is important, why is it a mystery? The Father is not a mystery.
It's not a mystery. It's right there in plain sight if anyone would look. Jackson went and did it. 2 Kings 1929, he found out that the last Jubilee year was 1996. If he could do it, he's even here, anyone can do it.
I need to have honestly, I need to have some instruction on what to do.
Okay.
Not eat that year. I would like that.
I've gone to Israel 3 times during the last sabbatical year, and I proved that I could not eat what was bought or grown that year. I could eat what was grown from the year before. I could do it while I'm on a plane. I can do it while I'm in the land of Israel. I can do it when I'm at home.
If you can do it, I can do it.
If I can do it,
Just
anybody
tell
can
me
do it.
how. Go look at canned food and see when the date was it was done or what exactly.
You're commanded in Leviticus 25 to store up food the previous year. So do it.
That's no problem. I already do that.
Then why are you complaining here? If you
I'm not. I want to know
already do that.
what to do. And if the last year was 96, then the next one's not coming up for a while.
2023
Right.
is the next sabbatical year.
2023?
Yeah, starting on Aviv.
I will be doing that starting on Aviv.
Aviv 1 is a sabbatical
Yeah,
year.
I'm going to start storing it up now.
Can't. I've had food here for 10 years from my first sabbatical year, leftovers. I had stored too many beans, but you can do it. And people living in an apartment say they can't do it because they live in an apartment. Well, you got room under your bed, store some food there. It's a test commandment. The same as a Sabbath is a test commandment.
Food. Which year, don't eat food grown in 2023 starting at Aviv,
That's
right?
what I'm saying.
Okay, thank you. I've been wondering this for a long time.
Okay, so that's Joe Dumond's opinion of what that scripture says. It says store food from the year before. Anything that grows that year. If you go out and you got an apple tree in the backyard and you want to pick some apples, go and pick a bunch of apples and eat them during the week. And then go and pick some more the week after that. But
Well-
do not clean all the fruit off that tree and store it, because that is when you're breaking the law. That's harvesting.
Well,
The tree is to be used, the fruit is to be used for anybody. Anybody can come in your yard and take that fruit that year.
right.
So you got to let them know, come and take my fruit, help yourself, right? Forgive debts. I had to give up money that people owed me in the sabbatical year. I didn't
I
like
would-
that law.
I wish people would should pay back debts, but I learned long ago they don't. So now I give freely. There's no use trying to get it back.
Well, in the sabbatical year, you give that debt up.
Do you pay off your debts? You pay off your debts too? No?
Well, I try not to have debt, but that doesn't work out too well. I'm Norm. I'm part of the society here. We're all in debt.
Okay, so we forgive our debts, forgive our debtors.
Yes.
Okay. I'm writing it down here in the notes so I can see. I'm getting old. I can't remember things like I used to. I got to write them down.
That's okay.
Okay, what's next?
Well, I'm going to go to Leviticus 25. Let's read it. Why not? Why don't we just read what it says?
I think we did this before, but it won't hurt to do it again.
Let's start in verse 8. And the first part's just about to start. And you shall number 7 Sabbaths of years, and 7 times 7 years, and the time of 7 Sabbaths to you. So again, I started to say this before. The Sabbath, the weekly Sabbath, is a test.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't keep the weekly Sabbath, you're failing the test. If you're keeping the holy days, and this is why the calendar is such a big issue, if you're keeping them at the wrong time, you're failing the test. And if you don't keep the sabbatical years, you're also failing the test. And if you don't keep them at the right time, you still fail.
So what calendar would you say is the correct godly calendar?
The crescent moon barley calendar.
So all these other calendars, whether it's solar lunar, whether it's Hillel, we know Hillel is out, Nicole, and these other calendars, they're all heretical calendars.
Okay,
that's fair.
You keep them. You can keep the holy days. Okay, so the lunar Sabbath people, they keep Shavuot 50 days after Shavuot. Is that okay? No, God didn't say to do that. He said keep it on Shavuot. If Moses showed up at Mount Sinai 50 days after Shavuot, he'd have missed the meeting with Jehovah when he came down the mountain. Same with the apostles. They showed up 50 days later. They wouldn't have got the Holy Spirit coming down in the fire. So you got to be there at the right time. And
now here's the question, Joe. How do you prove that all of these other calendars are obsolete?
That's a good question. I'm just trying to think how to best answer, because I've done this.
Man, you need to look at the Jewish dictionary and the encyclopedia on the calendar thing.
Okay, let me ask you a question. When Yeshua said, no man knows the day of the hour, what's he talking about?
He was talking about the day and the hour of the day of Yahweh. Yeah. And we know that now when it was.
When is it? Well, when it was.
Just like John the Revelator said, just like Paul said, just like Yeshua said in Matthew 25.
I believe the day of Yahweh already happened.
This generation will not pass.
When was it?
This generation will live to see it all. That generation. Because Revelation says that those that pierced him will mourn and weep. They'll see him, they'll mourn and weep. They can't do that if Revelation's in the future. They can't do that. They're dead. You think they're going to come up from hell and mourn and weep? They've already mourning and weeping for 2,500 years. But that's beside the point right now.
No, you're on the point because you've missed it. And
what's that?
Because you've missed the point, you don't understand which calendar to use.
I understand that.
Well, you haven't answered the question as to what does it mean when no one shall know the day or the hour. You've assumed that that's talking about when he was back there in 31 AD.
Yeah,
put your live picture back on because I can't see your facial expression.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
So
you also have to think about who he was talking to. Everything's in context. He wasn't talking to you and me. He was talking to those
to you and me.
He was talking indirectly to you and me, but he was speaking primarily to those people who would go into the ministry.
He's speaking to us indirect. He's speaking to us. Whether direct or indirect doesn't matter. He's speaking to us at the end of this age. No man shall know the day or the hour, and it's not talking about
Paul says, "Don't get married because the day's coming." Right then, scholars say, "Well, Paul really messed up," but Paul didn't. He was a true prophet. The day was coming, and it came, and he died in it.
As a matter of fact, James and all the rest of them, if you look at those writings, they all talked about an imminent event that was going to take place. Imminent, not later on, but imminent. Now, do I believe that things will come around again? Yes, I do. But those guys were specifically talking about an imminent event that was going to come right then.
Matthew 24, Yeshua says, the day and hour of the Son of Man coming, no man knows.
They didn't know it then. We know it now because it happened. Absolutely.
When that happened.
70 AD on the top of Mount Zion with 144,000, and it was witnessed.
I got it. 144,000 came out of 70 AD?
Josephus tells us about it.
Okay, you guys.
What are you laughing about? Look.
Calling me Josephus here.
All the proof is on our side on this. No, you are imagining that this has something to do with the 2,500 years later. It doesn't.
Not only did Matthew 24 talk about it, but Acts chapter 1 talked about it as well. So you have two witnesses talking talking about this event. Now you have numerous letters that were written by the 12 talking about that imminent event.
They did talk about it, and those books were cast out of the Bible, like the Epistle of Barnabas. He talks about it. Catholics took that out because they did talk about it. Now look, Paul talks about this in 1 Thessalonians 4. John says, behold, I come quickly. Paul talks about it in Corinthians as well. The Revelator says again, I come quickly, and he says that 4 times in the course of that. He even names the year that he is writing in chapter 17, if you know how to interpret it that way. That's the problem. People don't know the history, and so they're willing to believe whatever comes up about the future. Why? Because I guess they want to be damned. I guess they want another time when armies come down on them and the United States to be destroyed and everybody to be punished and them to be going up in the air going to Israel. I don't know what.
Either way, history and the word must go hand in hand. The word. It has to go hand in hand. If it doesn't, there's something wrong with it. Either we misunderstanding something or something is wrong. But these two have to go hand in hand.
Well, I'm saying you've misunderstood something. And I'm saying it very loudly, very clearly, so that you understand what I'm saying. And because you've misunderstood it, you don't understand which calendar to use, because you do not understand what the meaning of that expression. No one knows it.
I know exactly what it means, because he tells us when that is going to be. He says twice, Jackson, we heard this generation. Okay, well, I'm senile. I probably forgot it.
You haven't forgot it because you keep bringing it up.
I'm sorry.
You know what I think we should do? Let's just burn the whole place down and start all over. No, I'm kidding.
That sounds like a song. Let's do that.
No, but
you asked me what the proof is, the which calendar is the right one. I'm trying to tell you, and you keep going back to this wrong understanding. Therefore, you're not going to understand what I'm trying to say based on that wrong understanding. What he's saying is, I'm coming back. Is he back yet?
Yes.
Yeshua's back.
Of course he's back. It's millennium time. 6,000 years have passed.
Hold on.
We're in the 7th millennium now.
Oh, you're telling me we're in the 7th millennium now?
Can't you count from the time that Adam was here in 4004 BC? How many years has it been? 6,000 has passed.
Jackson, please stop talking before you make yourself out to be really an idiot. I'm saying that in love and politely.
I'm not an idiot. I've been a scholar with this for many years, probably when you were hello.
Okay, again, I got an audience on here. I don't like to just...
Well, I'm sorry.
Longer words. Please stop, or we're going to end it now.
Sometimes what people say is so absurd to say that I don't know what I'm talking about when I've gone through 10 years of college on this, got a doctor's degree, a master's degree, and studied and taught this now for almost 50 years. How can you say I don't know what I'm talking about? Or I'm making an ass of myself.
You just made an ass of yourself, and that's why I told you to stop before you made a bigger ass of yourself.
How did I do that?
You do not know what you're talking about when it comes to this subject, this topic. And I'm trying to tell you, and you're not listening. Therefore, you're becoming an ass. What I sent you was the chronology. In the 2300 Days of Hell book, I gave you the chronology using the sabbatical and jubilee years, which you even admit that you did, and you did the research on, and you end up with 1996 as the last jubilee year. Now, my question is, what jubilee year was that? Was it the 7th one? Was it the 80th one? You don't know.
I don't know.
You are now stating that we are in the 7th millennium, and that is a flat-out lie, because if we are, then where's the Messiah?
Well, let me answer that.
In the 7th millennium
let me answer that. Let me answer that. Because of the 6,000 year days, 1,000 years is a day. You go from Adam and Adam's race 6,000 years, and you come to 1996.
Oh, hang on.
Let me finish. Let me finish.
You haven't provided any proof. You just gave me a theory. Let's get some proof on the table.
There's lots of scripture that talks about that.
You keep saying there's lots. I want proof.
It's thrown out of the Bible by the Catholic Church.
No,
do you agree with the Catholic Church's canon?
We're not talking about the Catholic Church.
They took all the Jews out. They took they did not allow the Bishop of Jerusalem to come in. They separated completely from Jews, and then they put together a canon, taking lots of books out that were very Jewish and taking them out because they were, and then they put this together, and you're believing it. You mean
Second Thessalonians
66 books? Does 66 sound like a number? author of a holy book.
Thessalonians 2, verse 11, he will give them strong delusion because they did not have the love of the truth. Jackson, I'm talking about you, right? And I'm saying it in loving kindness because you do not know what you're talking about here. I don't care how much education you got, you're full.
I have the truth as far as I've studied it. What you're talking about with a calendar that's completely foreign to me, that I know is not a legitimate calendar, what else can I do? Do I read your mind? I can't.
Read my book. You say you read all these other books.
I have read some of your book. It's a very, very long book, and my time is very limited. I haven't read the whole book because my time's limited.
120 Jubilee cycles. We've explained this on your show already.
Yeah.
120 Jubilee cycles. You have 2,500 years from the creation of Adam up until we enter the promised land. You have to take that 2,500 years and you have to match it with our modern chronology, which starts with the King David or King Solomon and goes down to our modern times today, unbroken, and we can prove that through history. So you have those two chronologies that you must somehow match together. How do you do that? You don't know because you haven't read my book.
I don't need to know that.
You do need to know
because
that.
I know what calendar.
In the 7th millennium.
Brother, we go by different calendars.
You're going by fictitious teaching of heretical people.
All right, look.
You have not done your research because there's only 120 Jubilee cycles, 6 days of men.
There's one thing we can do. This will solve the whole thing. Wait for the 2,300 days of hell to start and see if you can, like you did last time, make up a bunch of very general stuff that you say are signs of it. Let's just see. Let's hold off and we'll wait a year and then we'll come back and see. You said that you would repudiate this if what you said didn't happen, but you've not been specific, to my knowledge, of what was going to happen.
I am so very sorry, but our time is up and we must go this instance. Thank you very much for listening, and thank you very much, Joseph Dumond, for being a part of our Controversial Topics Forum. And please do not forget to love your brother or sister no matter what they believe.